This is Cynthia. As you're coming in, please let me know where you are calling from, what your occupation is, and particularly we're talking about life insurance, okay? And before you go, okay, I promise you're going to want to stick around. I want to talk about, it's going to be a twofold, okay? Twofold conversation. One is posted a post today with a video, and I asked a question about adults, parents with adult children who does not have life insurance. That was my question. Do you think it's the parent's responsibility to make sure that this child has life insurance? This adult child, okay? We're not talking about a baby. So we're talking adult children. I mean, older than 18, okay? I mean, my daughter is 18, soon to be 19, and I still have life insurance on her, okay? Alrighty. My oldest is 25, and I still have life insurance on her, okay? So tell me what do you all think? If, your thoughts about that. Do you have life insurance on your adult children, okay? And if so, why? And if not, why? Why do you not? Do you think it's not your responsibility? My oldest daughter is married, and both are married, right? But the youngest one, both of them, I've had life insurance on them all of their lives. So, but tell me what you think about that. What's your thoughts? How do you have it set up? Okay. And then the second thing that we want to talk about is when you're living with someone and it could be boyfriend, girlfriend, and you don't have life insurance on them, right? Or vice versa. We want to talk about that. That's a conversation that needs to be had, right? It is a great topic for individuals that's living with someone. You may have been living with them for 2 or 3, 5, 10 years. You may have 2 or 3 children, and you may not have any children, right? But do you think that you should have life insurance on that boyfriend or that girlfriend, right? So that's what we want to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about those 2 things, and I want to get your feedback. I want to understand where you feel about this, what you feel about it, and where you stand in it. Right? In the latter of the 2, I really, really want to dig in because I have some true stories about that. Okay? True stories on that. But let's go back to the first part. So first of all, I'm Cynthia Scott with Cynthia Scott Insurance Agency here in the great state of Georgia, where we do all insurance in the state of Georgia: life, home, health, commercial insurance, auto insurance, all of that. But in the 25 states more that I'm licensed in, we do life insurance, critical illness, disability insurance, and life insurance, if I didn't mention that, and health insurance in some states, okay? Just to give you some idea on where we are and how we expand out, okay? All right, so let me know where you are coming in from. And also, give me some love. I love the hearts, right? Which is the love. Give us some likes and some shares, okay? So I'm going to tell you who you need to send this one is a mother who has an adult child who may not be as responsible as we would like them to be and does not have life insurance. 2 would be a family member, a friend, a sister, brother, who lives with someone, right? They're not married. They're living with someone, and they may have children. They may not, but they're living with someone. And it doesn't matter how long, okay? I mean, just to be honest with you, okay? Doesn't have it. So if you know someone that's living with someone, go ahead and share this video with them, okay? Share the video so that, we can talk to them too, okay? All right. And then also those that's on the outside looking in, come on in. Come on in. Join us. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the first part. As a parent, do you think that you should have life insurance on your adult child? For how long should you? I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer. Well, there is not. Okay. I think it's going to boil down to the parent, the child, and the whole situation, right? Because now you take both of my girls. They are responsible. They are mature. They are, and they're adults, okay? And they all have life insurance themselves, okay? But now I'm just talking for me for a moment, okay? But because I am who I am, the parent that I am, again, that's what I say. It depends on the child, the setup, and the parent. That's what it boils down to, okay? So for me, I have always had life insurance on both of my girls. So to me, makes me feel a little uncomfortable, right? As long as I can afford it. And I just really, not that I feel like it's my responsibility, okay? I don't really feel like it's my responsibility because they are responsible. But if anything happens to them and there is no life insurance at all, then I will be responsible to make sure that the final expenses are taken care of. So no matter what, and we find this to be true, not with just your children, but when there are siblings, right? Right? I mean, you take my mom, she's 70 something years old, but there is still some of those adult siblings that's not responsible. And if something were to happen to one of them, it will fall on my mother, okay? So when it comes to our children, that same thing. It will fall on you. If they're not married, right? But if they are married, then it's the spouse. It's their responsibility, right? To make sure that each is taken care of, right? And not only that you should want to, right? If you're married, you should want to have coverage because this is the same person that's in your household that is helping pay the bills, right? So if something were to happen to this person, that means that you would experience a financial hardship, okay? All right. So with that being said, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about making sure that your child has life insurance? Now, earlier today, I had someone to make a comment, and I think it was a great comment on the video. She said, if the child is married, no. Now, this is her, right? So we're just as I just mentioned, it depends on the child, the setup, and the parent, and what their thoughts are, okay? So she said, if the child is married, no. But if not married, yes. So that's that's her take on it. Okay? That's why I'm asking you guys and gals, okay? So, and I haven't responded, which I will respond to her, but I'm thinking that and I'm going to give her a chance to make that her explanation. But I'm thinking that she may be thinking that one, if the child is married, no. So she really feels like, I'm thinking, she probably feels that because he's married, he now has a responsibility to take care of his family in event of his demise. Okay? And then if they're not married, she said yes. Well, she then thinks that it is part of her parental responsibility to make sure that this child is taken care of either way. Okay? All righty? Okay, so insurance for married teenager. Okay, all righty. So teens as well need life insurance as well, even if they're married, right? Because here's the thing, when you get married, a lot of times, and when you're young and when you get married, you may find that the mother, and I always talk about the mother because the mother is like the hen, right? She's going to make sure that all the babies are taken care of. So that's why I lean to the mothers. But there are some fathers that feel like they should have insurance for their children, but mainly mothers. And we all know that, okay? That's just us. So if this child is young and married, or could be 30 years old and married. It really doesn't matter. But because in our community, it has always been in the older groups, right? Our mothers, grandmothers, and grandparents, right? Grandmothers, grandparents, and mothers, we always made sure that the child carried life insurance, that we had life insurance, or our parents always made sure that they had life insurance on us. Now, in our community, it wasn't a whole lot, right? Because we just wasn't shared it. We just wasn't told to get 100K, 200K on a 2-year-old, okay? All right, but granted, the grandmama knew to have some insurance on the children. Now, so when you get married, a lot of times this is the only insurance that a young person has, right? This is what they have. And it's what mama set up for them probably when they were 2 or 5 or 10, okay? And this is all that you now have. So because mama really didn't tell you that she only has 10,000 on you, or she only has 5,000, all you know is mama has life insurance on me. Okay? And unfortunately, sometimes we don't know how much that is until there is a demise, right? And then sometimes, we may figure it out sooner, right? Maybe if you get this talking to, you hear me, right? You hear your insurance agent, which is me, talk about this, and it may jog your memory. Say, wow, well, my mom has life insurance on me. Let me call her up and see. Now, so when it comes to that, a lot of times the mother, and especially if she's an older mother, she's had this policy, she's not going to want to let it go. She's not going to want to turn it over to you for you to start paying, because she's concerned that you may not pay the bill. Let's just be honest. Okay? I see this all the time. So you can't blame her. She wants to make sure that if something happens to my child, that's a mother. If something happens to my child, I have to make sure that he or she is taken care of, that her final expenses is taken care of. Okay? All right? So when that does happen, and then the person gets married, you cannot depend on, as a married person, the insurance that your husband or even yourself, mom, has on him. Okay? You can't depend on that. First of all, it's not your policy. It's her policy on him. She still owns it because she got it when he was 10 years old. He doesn't even own it. So now you're dealing with, you can't even, it's your husband, right? You don't have life insurance on him. He didn't have any. All that he has is what mama had on him when he was 2. She still has it. She kept it. She's not paying much for it. So it's not a hardship for her, right? So now something happens to him or her, right? You can't even, you don't have a leg to stand on, really, is what I'm saying. You might be the wife, but if you don't have anything on him and mama has the policy, then what? Then you might be in front, but you're going to be to the side, because mama is the one with the money, okay? Mama's the one with the money, okay? She's the one with the policy that can cash it in and pay for this benefit, this death benefit here at the funeral home, okay? All righty? Okay? So you want to be mindful of that. You want to be mindful. If you're married and all your spouse has is life insurance, what his mama has on him, you and I need to talk. That's a question that you need to ask him And if it's a girlfriend, it's something you need to ask her. You need to ask her tonight. Ask her. Because, you're married with children and you have nothing in place, only what his mama has on him. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've seen it before. I've seen it a few times in 18 years. When the mama has a life insurance and you're married, and even if you're not married and you're just living together, I could tell a story. You don't have any, really. If you're married, let's just stay with the married for 2 minutes. You're married. He doesn't have life insurance. You don't have any on him. The mom has the policy. Now, you may be, over everything because you're the spouse. But if you don't have $10,000, $15,000 set aside to just pay for your husband's funeral, then mama is going to be running the show. Okay? Mama will be running the show. You might not like everything because she's holding the check. She's holding the check. And depending on how mama is, and depending on how mama is about you, we're just being honest. Right? Because this is her child. And we're just being honest. So depending on how she is with you, she may or she may not listen to you. She could just be courteous and say, okay, I have this life insurance policy that I had on him for forever. Here it is. I've seen that. And then I've also seen where the mother not even pay for the funeral. And then I've seen where they just flat out give the wife pure. Okay. So again, it depends. My point is this. My responsibility is this. Is to share with you the information that I'm sharing, right? So that it can open your mind and your thoughts about your situation that you may be in. Okay? All right? So, if you're married and you and your spouse do not have life insurance, only have what your mother has on you and vice versa, his mom has on him, you need to call me. My number will be in the chat. Licensed in over 25 states, and we can help you and your husband, boyfriend, whoever, get life insurance. Okay? All right? So, again, as some more of you are coming in and listening to what I'm saying, do you think it is the parent's responsibility to insure their child, their adult child? We're not talking about no babies. Adult child. And for how long? We may say adult, they're 18. They just learning. They haven't started living life yet, and you still consider this child to be a child. And you may still have it. But we're talking about, what about when this boy turns 40? What about when this boy turns 45? Okay? 35. And he doesn't have life insurance. What do you do? What do you do then? Okay? All right? Now, second fold to this tonight is for my singles that are living together, right? You're living together and you have no life insurance on each other. Now I have to talk to my ladies, okay? All right? I have to talk to my ladies. If you're living with someone, we're not talking marriage, but if you're living with someone for any amount of time that is significant a time, okay? All right? I see people live together for 10, 15, 20 years, never get married, have multiple children, and then don't have life insurance on each other. So if you have a setup like that, you need to make sure that he has life insurance. And you need to make sure that you have life insurance. Why? One, you're not married, but you may have 2 or 3 children together. And then when you have the children, that's another responsibility, right? Something happens to him or something happens to you. And and you all may be sharing the bills. You all may be, you could be stay-at-home mom, right? He may be working, has a great job or great business, and you don't have to work. You just home taking care of the babies. If something happens to him and there is no life insurance in place, you're going to be up the creek. So these are things that you need to think about. These are things that you need to consider. So because you're not married doesn't opt you out of having life insurance on each other. Okay, you love each other, you just hadn't got married. Okay? You have 1 child, 2, 3 children, you just hadn't got married. You may even have a home together, in debt together. You just haven't got married. You have a checking account together. You just haven't gotten married. Right? So why not have life insurance and share everything just like you share everything else? Okay? All right? So I had someone years ago, and they lived together. They had 3 children at the time, and they were young children, and he got killed in a car accident. They were not married. They've been living together for years, had 3 children together, and we won't even get into the part of, the mother is the one that had to, be the one to go to to view the body, right? You weren't even married. So now you feel left out. But in the Georgia law, which is where I live, they respect and they honor marriage. So they're gonna, and I'm sure it's in other states as well. But my point is this: if you're not married, and I'm not telling y'all to go out and get married, I'm just saying you are limited. So while you're living with someone and you're sharing all these other responsibilities, why not get some life insurance on each other? Right? And don't let him tell you, and don't let her tell you, that my mom has life insurance on me. Do not. See, you're not thinking. And you probably would say, okay. But what you really need to say is, well, what if something happens to you and I have these 3 babies? How much life insurance does your mama have? And if she's talking about something she had from Gerber 20 years ago, it ain't much, right? And then you cannot expect mama to give you the benefit. No, because mom is just going to make sure that her child is taken care of. That's the mom, right? That's the responsibility of what a mom takes on when they continually have life insurance on their young children or their adult children. Okay? So remember, the life insurance that your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your whatever their parent has on them is not yours. It's not even his. Okay? So don't feel bad if something happens to him or her and mama does not give you anything. She doesn't have to. Okay? It's your responsibility as a live-in girlfriend, live-in boyfriend. Make sure. So if we're gonna be operating like a couple, right? You just hadn't got married, but you're operating as a couple. This is one of the financial responsibilities that you all should take on. I'm Cynthia Scott with Cynthia Scott Insurance Agency here in the great state of Georgia. If you guys and gals are just coming in, we're just talking about life insurance. We're talking about the responsibilities of parents as having adult children. Is it your responsibility of having life insurance? And we're doing a twofold. You're living with someone, have been for many years, and have children together, or may not. But if this person passes away, you will lose the financial support of him or her. This is what we're talking about. The importance of making sure that the insurance that you, the importance that you make sure that that you have coverage on this individual. Okay? All righty? So you don't want to assume, right? So you have to have these conversations. These are the conversations that we don't really want to talk about. I mean, first of all, many of us don't want to talk about it because we think about the demise of the individual. That's one thing. And then, we think that we're too young and invincible and nothing is going to happen to me to another million years. And that's not true. Right? So you want to be smart about it. Okay? And then not only that, you have these children. You may have children that is involved, right? In all of this, you're in the household, you're sharing bills together, you're financially taking care of things together. And yet still, you don't have life insurance. And another thing too, having life insurance on the job is not going to cut it either. If you do, that's great. Always have you some life insurance at home. If you watch me at any point, you know I'm an advocate for having your own life insurance policy. Why? One, that policy is probably only good for while you're there. Okay? And then two, who's the beneficiary? Does he have you as a beneficiary? Does he have his mom as a beneficiary? Okay? Does he have his old girlfriend as the beneficiary? Okay? I mean, these are things that you have to be mindful of. These are things that you have to make sure are in place, that are updated. Okay? Okay? I've seen some stories. Several years ago, we had a individual, the mother reached out to me years before, and she took life insurance out of her son. And years later, he passed away. Young. Now, he was married, but the mother reached out to me to make sure that he was taken care of, right? And unbeknownst, who would have known, right? So you have children, that are dependent on you, children that's dependent on your boyfriend. Y'all are all together. And you all may have come to an agreement that you may never want to get married. Okay? That may be what y'all have been doing it so long, the way you doing it, and that's your business, right? But what you don't want to do is to continue to go and not be protected. That's what you don't want, okay? And you can think about it all day, you can think about it all night, but until you do it, until you lock that in, there is no coverage in place. If you all want to learn more on how to get this coverage in place, I'm licensed in over 25 states. Okay? All right? And if you want to learn more, you can go up to the left-hand corner here where it says Insurer, and you can click the link, follow the link. You can text us. My number should be in the chat here, just a minute or so. And yeah, we can have that conversation, okay? And then making sure that you do this before life changes, before things change, before your health change, before your age change, okay? Making sure that you have coverage in place, okay? So there are many reasons why you should make sure that when you're living with someone that you have life insurance on them. And when I say you have life insurance on them, I'm really talking about you being a beneficiary. Okay? That's what you want to make sure, that you are the beneficiary. Okay? All right? I remember a lady, she was married. She was married to her husband, and they got a divorce, and she called me talking about she want to cancel the policy. Do you realize what you're saying? I mean, I advised her not to cancel the policy. She was paying for it, and she was the beneficiary. I'm like, why cancel the policy? Why cancel it? Because, something happens to him, I'm like, don't cancel the policy because you got mad and y'all, no, don't do it. If you can afford it, keep it. It's already set. You probably had it for years. Okay. And if something happens to him, then that's it. So my opinion is don't cancel the policy. Okay. Don't cancel it. If you don't want to take it over or continue to pay for it because you feel like you're doing something for him, you're the beneficiary. Let the children, if you have some adult children, let them take over the premium. You have one or two and they can afford it, say, hey, take over your daddy's policy, right? Pay this premium, okay? But as a parent, knowing that you have financial protection in place in case of a tragedy that could take on the life of a child, you want to have this in place. Why? To have a peace of mind, right? Because I don't care what your child is doing, how irresponsible they are. If something happens to your child, you're going to wish that you had some type of coverage on him. Okay? Alrighty. So just making sure that you have the conversation with your adult children. Okay? All right. So we as parents and, we have to have these conversations, right? So you have the conversation with them. You ask them, do you have life insurance in place? And don't just let them tell you something. You tell them to be honest with you. They may be a little embarrassed, right? And they may say that they have it on the job as well. But that's not going to cut it, right? Because, again, we've already mentioned what danger that is of only depending on the insurance that you have on the job. Okay? And then, again, if you're living with someone and he doesn't have insurance, you and I need to talk. Okay? We need to talk so that we can get some adequate coverage on him, right? And of course, we would have to speak with him, okay? All righty. And so that he can answer his medical questions. All right? Okay, so do we have any comments, any questions, any concerns? What's your thoughts? Anybody has any thoughts before we go? Well, I think I've done my job. I think that we've mentioned a couple of the things that is always near and dear to me is making sure that individuals, families are protected in, in event, right? So yeah. Well, I'm Cynthia Scott with Cynthia Scott Insurance Agency here in the great state of Georgia. And as we, I just want you to remember that there are things that we're responsible for, and there are things that we may feel like we're not responsible for. And even though we may not feel responsible, if and when something happens, we're held responsible, right? That is because of your position. So now as we're talking about mothers in ensuring their children, their adult children. Some feel like it's not their responsibility, and others feel like it is. But at the end of the day, if something happens to that child and none of this is in place, at the end of the day, you're still going to be held responsible. Okay? You're still going to be held responsible. So just make sure that as you are building your financial portfolios individually, if you're building it for your children, your household, just remember these things. Think about all the things that I mentioned and how it could affect you if this adult child, we're not just talking about babies tonight. We've been talking about babies, but we're not talking about babies because one, we should be protecting the babies anyway. But two, if this is your adult child, you want to make sure that the responsibility that would very well fall on you, whether they're married or not married, okay? Because if they're married with no life insurance, yeah, the wife may, they'll be the ones that, want to run the show and tell when the funeral is going to be, when the service is going to be, and who's going to be on the program and all of that. But at the end of the day, that funeral services, they need to get paid, right? So again, have the conversations. Have the conversations with your family. Have the conversation with your mom, your dad, your parents, your children, okay? Have the conversation with them so that if anything were to happen, that your final expenses are taken care of, okay? All right? Okay, you guys and gals, Cynthia Scott with Cynthia Scott Insurance Agency here in the great state of Georgia. Hope that you all learned something. Did I jog your memory? Did I make you think about something? Okay? All righty. So, you guys and gals have an awesome, awesome night. We'll see you again later this week. Okay? All right, take care. See you later.